What's up? What's your
What's up?
debate? Why do you have immigrant derangement syndrome?
I didn't, what? What's that? Is
So you
that a new
guys are
term?
Republicans and freak out over anything immigrant.
No, I'm not freaking out over anything immigrant.
Okay.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Thanks. Happy New
Cool.
Year.
Anyway, do you support Trump?
Yes.
Why?
He's, I mean, there's a slew of reasons why. I mean, I like his America First approach
What
to,
is the America First approach?
like, he'll constantly say, like, we'll, instead of sending money over to foreign nations, he wants to take that money and invest it into America first.
It's just been
You
released
understand
that
he is
he's going to,
continuing aid to Ukraine.
yeah, he's going to continue aid to Ukraine. That's
Yeah, I mean, that's obvious because
okay. So
of
then that's
the,
not
the
America First. So what else is America First?
it's already a snowball that has occurred.
What does that mean?
Like this war has already started and the funding is already there versus an adversary that is
No,
like
no, no, you're not
politically
understanding. He's going to
glo-
continue, meaning his plan is to continue sending money as though Biden is new money.
yeah,
It's
but
not
is there going
money,
to
but he's
be
continuing to send it.
is it be scrutinized? Is it going to be more direct over what the money is, what's being sent over there?
Well, he's already said that he was going to end the war. He said he would already end the war. It's not very America First of him to make that promise and not end the war.
I mean, I think he's for ending the war in Ukraine and Russia.
But he said he
How do
would
you do
end it.
that when you're funding them?
I mean, you could do it. You can't do two things at once.
What is his plan to do it?
Wait, wait, wait. You can't. So you mean like Biden was doing
And then, so what was Biden doing to actively end the war with Russia?
the same thing Trump plans to do?
Like, I don't see Biden having discussions with Putin at all during his
They
four-year
do
term.
all the time.
So
They
he
did
did.
all the time.
But they rejected all the consensus, all the
They were
like Russia didn't agree to any of the terms.
Russia didn't agree to any of Trump's terms.
Trump
Russia
isn't the
didn't agree
president
to
yet,
any.
though.
Russia didn't agree to any of China's terms. Trump's already been in communications. He already had Sergei Lavrov in New York, Washington D.C. the other day.
And then how do we know like the progress that's being made between Trump and the Russian?
Because Sergei Lavrov came out and rejected it outright.
I mean, that's what they gotta say, right?
Why?
Like they're gonna show like Russia is gonna be like we want to have whatever this is that Russia has gained and like whatever they deem this is Russian territory.
So Russia rejected it outright, and Ukraine has no want to give Russia or concede territory.
So like that's like an interesting part of the ending the war. So Russia has already moved through Ukraine and said this is Russian territory. And is that the point of contention?
That is a point of contention. I find it so funny that for 2 years, I have had this conversation with people where they told me that Trump was going to end the war, that we shouldn't be funding Ukraine, where I would explain to them, this is the only way that we can go forward because Russia cannot be negotiated with. And now you're sitting here trying to defend what's happening, but not from the perspective of like, oh, Trump's going to end it anymore, or oh, anything like that. You're saying, well, he's going to be more nitpicky with the money he's giving them.
I mean,
Russia
it's
refused
not
to
it,
agree. Russia refused to agree to any concessions. They will not do anything. Russia has refused peace deals from China, South Africa. They have refused peace deals from Ukraine. They've refused peace deals across the board. They have agreed to, out of the four, five, six different peace deals that have been brought to Russia, they have agreed to a grand total of zero of the points of contention. Nothing.
and that's Russia's stance. Like they are a nation with their
They did
own
the same thing
what
they
they
did the
want to
same thing
do.
with Trump. Right. So we've been telling you that Biden's approach was the correct one, and Biden's approach is working, and now Donald Trump plans to continue that approach. And if
The
the
current
war in
approach
Ukraine and the
is
war
to
and here's the crazy part, the war in Ukraine you can clip this, and if you are, please record it for later. When the war in Ukraine ends, one way or another, they're going to give Donald Trump credit, even if it's not in the best outcome, even if it's a long-term issue that we're going to have to deal with, which I'll call out. But in the event that Russia's economy collapses and they can no longer sustain war, Trump will claim that he ended the war, even though it was Biden's doing.
But Trump would be the standing president, and if the war ends, but it's like the same way the Afghanistan war. Like we're not in Afghanistan, and Biden can take credit for that. But then the way the
Right,
plot
but
is,
who?
it's like the credit is like
I know,
it
but
was
who was
Trump's
behind it?
plan.
Well, hold on, who was behind it? Trump was behind the
The
plan to pull out of Afghanistan.
so you
Joe
tell me
Biden
the
was
top.
behind the plan. Joe Biden was behind the plan to continue to fund Ukraine and mounted support for that. And Republicans relentlessly attacked him for it, despite the fact that they signed off on sending funds, despite the fact that Donald Trump was going to do it. They relentlessly attacked him for it.
Could you
And
say
now
that
you
it's
guys, and now if the war were to end, you guys would give Donald Trump credit, despite the fact that he criticized Joe Biden for the exact policies he plans to use. So basically, he's using Joe Biden's playbook to end the war in Ukraine, and it wouldn't even be it wouldn't even be the fact that he did it. It was Biden. Biden was the reason.
but like that, but it would end under Trump's term. So like Trump does get the credit for it
For
Credit for
what?
what?
It
for
wasn't his
ending the war
deal.
in Ukraine.
How did he end
How?
it though?
If he continue, if so, when the handover happens and there's continued whatever negotiations between Russia or however it goes about to end the war, his ability to make those decisions and to get Russia to concede defeat one way or another, that would be Trump's victory.
So if it happened the day he was inaugurated, despite having nothing to do with the conversations or anything, would that be Trump's credit?
I mean, then we could have further discussions on whose
So
credit was.
how does
So
that work? Even if Donald Trump did nothing but continued Joe Biden's plan, you would give him credit for it?
was he like who's the that's what I'm saying, like they ended on inauguration day, the handoff that happened.
Right. Would
Huh?
you credit Trump for that?
What is it because Russia is afraid of what Trump will do, so they were like, okay, we'll end it
No.
today?
It had
How
nothing
do
to
you
do with
know?
it.
How do you know?
How would you know that that was the case?
How would I not know? I don't know.
What the fuck? This is exactly what happened with Jimmy Carter at the end of his administration, by the way. The release of the hostages from Iran. That was his doing. That was his State Department negotiating with those people, getting them out, getting them back into the United States. No, for no reason whatsoever was Ronald Reagan involved in that agreement. There would be no sense, no nexus, no connection as to establish Reagan's credibility on that when he had nothing to do with it. Why would we
Okay.
apply that to Donald Trump?
I'm not like spun up on that what you just referenced.
Okay, let's simplify it. Everything that happens under Trump's presidency is his fault then.
Yeah, I mean that's how we judge presidents, right? What
Okay.
happens during their
So
term
if there are
is
left-wing terrorists, hold on a second. So in the event that there are left-wing terrorist attacks in the United States, Donald Trump is responsible for that.
like
He let it
so left
happen.
wing. We're talking about like big impacts. If there's like singular like leftist terrorist attacks happening during his presidency, yeah, it happened during his presidency. It's not like he made that
Right, but he
happen.
let it happen. He let it
But
happen.
how did he let leftist ter
How
left?
the
You're talking
fuck did
about
he end the war
leftist.
in
It happened under
Ukraine?
his watch.
You know? If we're
What?
if you're going to assign that this person did this, right? This is the biggest problem in American politics is that people assign who's ever in office is inherently responsible. Joe Biden inherited a mess, okay? And he fixed said mess. Donald Trump is inheriting a rebound of a mess. And he's also dealing with this invasion of Ukraine. Joe Biden put up with 2+ years of absolute endless, actually 2.5, of endless attacks from the right. Endless attacks from the right about funding Ukraine, about that they shouldn't do it, about that Trump would end the war, etc., etc. If the war doesn't end on day fucking one, he's a liar. And he already
I
has
think
lied because he said the war would already end. So he doesn't deserve any credit. He deserves
the big
responsibility for the people. Hold on a second. He deserves responsibility for the
okay.
people that have died in Ukraine. So I just want to point this out. Donald Trump said that he would end the war within 24 hours of being elected. That didn't happen. Since that time, over 50,000 Russians have died. It's actually more now. That's just for November. It's close. It's bordering on $100,000 across, or 100,000 across November and December. So he's responsible for 100,000 deaths or 100,000 casualties and about 20, 30,000 deaths. He's responsible for those then because he said he was going to do it.
I mean, well, I guess he didn't follow through. You know, it happens sometimes.
That's not what I'm saying. He's responsible.
Okay, he's responsible. Like, what do you want him to do about it? Like, it's the war is still actively going
Okay,
on.
so he killed. He's caused 100,000 casualties.
But he didn't start the war though.
So it doesn't matter. Neither did Biden.
Just connect your logic here.
Yeah,
What
no,
happens
So
under
if
people's
Trump
watch?
claimed, Trump claimed responsibility 24 hours after he was elected, where he didn't end the war. He called Ukraine and Russia, and they said get bent. He's had Sergei Lavrov over for dinner because why wouldn't he? Sergei Lavrov said get bent. He took responsibility for Ukraine within 24 hours. Everybody that's died after that is his fault. Because that's what he said. If that's the game that you want to play, right? Sure. There's two ways you can go about this. Continue defending Trump for something that doesn't make sense, or just say, he's a fucking liar. Because he lied. He's a liar. He's a liar. It's not going to be his responsibility. He's not getting credit for the war in Ukraine ending. I
But
don't know how you
I
would
guess
give him
okay,
credit.
he didn't enter the war, but his constant position is that he wants people to stop dying in a war. There's no point in
How's that
people
working?
dying.
Then why is he going to
I
continue
mean,
funding
it's
Ukraine?
it's it's his stand. Like he doesn't
Then
want.
why is he going to continue funding Ukraine?
What is he
Okay,
going to
so
do differently?
do you want Russia to just like steamroller Ukraine? No, you guys
No,
don't
which is
No.
because
why I
What is
want
he
them to
going to do
fund
continue to
Ukraine.
differently?
fund.
Yeah,
What is he proposing that's different from the Biden administration?
his position that he wants to get people to stop dying.
Yeah, Biden believes the same thing. But what is he
Yeah,
going to?
Biden.
What
Yeah.
strategy is he
But
going to take to achieve
but like,
that?
what was the strategy before then? Because
I'm
we can
asking what is
say
going to be different.
he's going to be the forefront to get this to stop. Like it's going to be a constant
How?
theme.
What? Tell me how.
He's got to pick up the phone and call. He's got to call
Okay, we've
Putin.
done that. We've done that.
Yeah, you got to
He's done
constantly do
that.
it.
We've done
You got
that.
to.
We've done that, dude.
Simply
Well,
We've
phoning
been in
somebody
constant.
1,000 times doesn't make them change their mind.
It's like
They just
ask
block your
any
number.
ex-boyfriend. Like ask any ex-boyfriend. That doesn't work. Listen. So he's called. The Biden administration's in constant contact with Russia, at least to a diplomatic degree, when necessary. That hasn't worked. China, their friends, came out as publicly angry with Russia that they wouldn't commit to it.
Okay. Like it.
So
So
what?
there's two sides. There's two sides to it. Like
So hold on.
they
Donald
want
Trump gets
something.
credit. So hold on a second. Donald Trump gets credit for undermining Ukraine, for
What?
sympathizing with Russia, for attempting to undercut across the board. They all he gets none of the blame for that, but he gets all the credit for ending the war because he continued to do what Biden did. That doesn't make any sense.
But like the
It
war
doesn't make
started
any
under
sense.
Biden. Like it had just like there was no Ukraine-Russia war during Trump's presidency. But
No, there
then
was.
which where?
There wasn't the mass invasion, but yeah, there was already. They've been in war since 2014.
Like when they annexed Crimea, and then
Yep.
that whole standoff was
When they started
happening, and
funding,
then
Luhansk and Donetsk, yeah, they've been in war since then. There's been active Russian troops fighting Ukrainian troops in sort of a I don't know, under the radar capacity, but they've been fighting for a while now.
oh okay. But that's just like the but go back to the original claim of the American first position. That's why.
Well, you said
And
that
he
America
You
First was
didn't
not
explain
funding
anything.
Ukraine. The only thing that you explained is Biden is, I guess, America First because he's doing
I
the
never
same exact thing that Trump's doing, except not undermining Ukraine.
but like so like his position of let's go back to when Donald Trump was the president, and then he would go over to European leaders and say he didn't support what the EU is doing, making oil deals with Russia when Russia was always considered an adversary, and he would vocally say that to these leaders, this is not appropriate for you guys to do, calling them out like, why are you making oil deals with Russia
Mm,
if like you're funding the enemy?
I mean, even a
That's
blind
what I
squirrel
like.
finds a
I
nut
like
once in a
that.
while, but that's not why he did it, really.
He said it. Like
But
there's a
like
video of
undermine that's not
him.
really why he did it though.
Did what?
Like that's not really why he did it. What Donald Trump wanted to do was to sell LNG, which is liquefied natural gas. He wanted to sell it to Europe, which is like an okay deal, whatever, economically speaking. But Russia, yeah, they were selling them oil because the U.S. wanted to sell oil over there, but it undermines European security if their energy prices are insanely high.
But like there's plenty of oil
And
exports from
what
other
does that have
nations.
to? But what does that even have to do with America? Outside the
That because
liquefied natural gas thing, what does that even
we
have to
give
do
money
with
to we give money to EU, and we are part of NATO,
how?
and
How do we
if
give
we're
money
in
to the
an
EU?
alliance with these nations, if
So
because we
wait,
I think
have
he's
isn't so
confusing
if it's
citizens
hold on a
NATO.
over there.
second. Wait, this makes no sense. Just really quick. So if it's America first to try and undermine Russia, right? How is it America first to try and undermine NATO by
It
saying
is
you're going
okay.
to pull out? How is that even a thing?
It's not like we're not going to pull out of NATO, but
He's been
we're
threatening
going
to do
to.
it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strong position to say, like, hey, if you guys are not going to pony up
How is
the
that undermine?
troops and the
How is it?
money,
Hold on. So this is such a weird juxtaposition. So you're saying don't. You're saying on one side he's saying don't support Russia because that's bad.
yeah,
That's against our
th-
interests. But also he praises and says Putin can do whatever he wants and take whatever he wants while he's running for office.
I mean, it's kind of an odd thing
He said it
for
was a
him to say.
smart thing for Putin to invade. He said Putin can do whatever he wants.
I mean, Putin's clearly doing whatever he wants.
And hold on, wait a second. So if he so Donald, this is wild. Donald Trump is working with the enemy, and you're saying that that's America. So he's against Russia, but he's working with Russia to get elected. And you're saying that's America first.
He's he's working with Russia to get elected,
Yes,
like for president.
yes.
What? No, like that. So
Did you
you're
not know
telling me
this?
Donald Trump?
Elon Musk is in regular contact with Putin. Donald Trump has contacted Putin that we know of at least 7 times since he left office. Putin has worked endlessly through Russian bot farms to get Donald Trump elected. We know this. The Treasury Department actually just sanctioned Iran and Russia over doing that very thing. We have reports from 2016 from the Internet Research Agency, reports coming out of the EU. They try and influence elections everywhere, and they tried to get Donald Trump elected. That's what that entire thing on the left was. And the anger with Elon Musk and Elon Musk allowing Russian bot farms to operate with impunity uh, on his platform was that it was promoting Donald Trump. I dealt with Russian bots throughout the entirety of it. This is not new. Hold on? Why do you think? Like, just make this juxtaposition make sense. Why do you think that Mega says that Donald Trump is really strong against Putin, that he'd be a strong president, but also Putin's not that bad. He just wants freedom for his people. And they're sympathetic towards Russia in the Ukraine war. It's because of that Russian bot bleed over. We know they exist. Like, for instance, here's a really good example. Do you know why it's called the jab, the COVID vaccine?
No, go ahead.
It's because Russian bot farms operated in Australia, the U.S., and the EU and the UK in English. The jab is what it's called in England, and it was used by Russian bots targeting all three of these countries, and that's why it's so prolific in the United States. That etymology didn't exist. It wasn't used in the United States until it started hitting Russian bot farms because they were using that synonymously between United States, Australia, and UK. That's like how
I,
prolific this is. You can also go read about the Cambridge Analytica scandal. You can go read about the Internet Research Agency. There's a whole host of sources on it.
I did see like a thing about the Russian. So I have seen where there is Russian interference, and it was investigated, and the U.S. Treasury Department. So yeah, that stuff is there, but it's like I don't think that Like, if Donald Trump benefited from that, possibly, but I don't think that's the reason why he got elected. Like,
Is it the reason he got elected? Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I mean, I don't think it's the whole reason, but yeah, I think it's a big part of the puzzle. We talked about it yesterday, I think. Yeah, I think it's a big part of the puzzle there as to why he got elected.
Now, like
A lot of people very vehemently
smearing
confused.
other candidates could sway people to vote for Donald Trump in one way or another. And it's just like I would agree that it is strange that there's so much for Donald Trump in that sense. But then it's just like when Donald Trump was president in America, I thought America, like, I was richer when Donald Trump was president. Housing prices,
I wasn't.
interest rates were
Right, yeah,
interest rates were
that's all,
lower. Housing prices were
it's all
lower.
going up.
Yeah,
It's all going to go up, man.
Yeah, and as
It's
soon
all,
as,
you know what? It's all going up
and
because
then
of Donald Trump.
also
It has started to
you could,
stabilize. It's going to go up because of Donald Trump.
and then
Okay.
Okay, right past
there's
that.
It's like, dude, where's
and-
my car? And then
yeah, for real. You made me
He's
lose
not
my trail of
part
thought.
Go ahead.
You didn't have one.
Trail.
Um,
It's more like
Whatever.
white river
Sorry.
rafting at this point. So
sorry.
Sorry, I lost.
So before, when Donald Trump was in office, you could make $10,000 flat out without having to report anything. So you could have your own side hustle and you could get paid no matter which way. But as soon as Joe Biden came in office, you had to fill out your mandatory reporting for PayPal or whatever third party paying site that you would have. That was a mandatory. You had to report that. So like
Yeah, that's income.
yeah, but you didn't have to report it before. You had $10,000 that you could untaxable.
No, it's not
on your
untaxable.
side hustle.
No,
It
no,
was
no,
a side
no.
hustle. You didn't have to report the $10,000. So it was pretty much a free.
That's not
$10,000
true.
on
They
your side
didn't. They
hustle.
didn't legally force you to report it. You still had to report it.
No, you didn't have to.
You were
fill out
still supposed
anything.
to. No, you were still supposed to report it.
You still should. That's tax fraud.
No,
It had to do, and by the way, it had to do with whether or not PayPal was supposed to report it.
yeah, and then now they mandated at
Yeah, you're
$600
still
or
supposed to
over.
report it. So it was the requirement for whether or not companies were supposed to report it to the IRS, not whether or not you were.
I don't know.
Listen,
What I,
I don't like the federal government, so I'll just go ahead and forget I ever heard anything. Okay?
I'm not. I've
my
only
gift
had
to
one
you.
job. The thing was like if you were like an Uber driver.
Yeah, Uber would still do that, but no, you were supposed to report it. The question on the 1099 was whether or not the company was. So anyway,
Is that fair?
oh, he's Googling this. Okay. I know because I was on TikTok when that change happened and everybody was like, oh my God, we got to pay taxes. I was like, you guys weren't paying taxes on that? I'm like, yeah, you were supposed to pay taxes. Anyways.
Oh, did it pause me?
Mm-hmm.
Nutcracker, appreciate it. Appreciate it, Nutcracker. Thank you. I'll read that in just a second.
But yeah, that's why I feel like Donald Trump is a better candidate. And he's.
I haven't
feel
heard a
like
word. I haven't heard a reason. Just I've been pointing out. I haven't heard a reason.
American
That was
say
like you were the
anything.
last
He's-
person in the group project. I didn't hear any reason why you just
Yeah.
voted for him.
He's consistent in what he tells
No, he's
people.
not.
He's consistent. He's consistent. He was
pro-gay
pro.
marriage, then
He
he's
was
not.
pro-choice. He was
He was a
pro-choice.
Democrat.
Now he's not. He was against H-1B visas. Now he's for them. Just a few months later.
He was against funding Ukraine until he was for it.
I mean, I still think he's for those things though. Like he's like it's consistent. It's not like he's flip flopping. Like he's going to ban fracking and not ban fracking.
Oh, he's flip-flopped. There's some things he hasn't, but he's flip-flopped on more things than he hasn't.
But that's like you could point out every politician has flip flop, but I feel he
Okay, but
Not
you
as
can't
much
say
as
that
him.
he
flip flop as
hasn't.
much.
Yes, he
What's
does.
Not as. I mean,
You
not
can't
as
say that
much
he
as him.
hasn't.
Okay, you could say that he has flip flop, but I would say he is consistent moving
In
forward with what
flip-flopping.
he wants to
Consistent
do.
on flip flopping. Yes.
No,
Yes.
not as much as the Democrats, or like I would say the Biden Harris, they
I'd
would
say
flip flop.
more than Biden has.
What did they flip
Uh,
flop on? Donald Trump has already backtracked on whether or not the stock market would go up. He said the stock market's going to be higher than ever. He said that actually don't buy it, might dip. He said that he was going to bring down grocery prices. It'd be the easiest thing he ever did, which I think he said for that one. I'm pretty sure he said that one for that one, but he said he was going to bring down grocery prices. Now he's saying it's going to be very hard. He said the tariffs weren't a tax. Now he's saying, well, I can't promise anything's going to go down. He also said the prices wouldn't go up because of it. He's changing his tune on Ukraine. He's flip flopped on everything. All of his major campaign promises, with the exception of mass deportation, which, by the way, when he figures out what's going to do to the economy, which may be too late, yeah, you're going to flip flop on it.
I mean, I don't think like what's the problem with like mass deportation? We're talking about deporting criminals.
You destroy the. No, you're not. They're talking about getting rid of people with H-1B visas. It has nothing to do with someone's legal status. It has nothing to do with someone's criminal record.
If they're
That's
here
just
on a
what you've been
visa,
told.
then they can work here.
That's not illegal.
Yeah, we're
They're
talking
trying to
about
get rid of the
like
visas.
Right. And temporary protected status.
who's trying to get rid of the visas?
Your party.
No,
They're trying to get rid of H-1B.
who?
This has been the rhetoric from the Republican Party in this last few weeks or so.
This
It's
has been like a
wholeheartedly
big
against
deal.
H-1B.
Oh, okay. I don't see a problem with H1B. Like if they're over here to work and they're like hired for that position, like what's so bad about that?
Ask your party. They've come out
I don't
against
know.
it in recent days.
I'm on the party. I
Right,
am a
then
registered
explain the
Well,
Republican.
ask
civil
your
war that's
party.
going on in this discourse.
Is there's nothing. I mean, is there disagreements within the party? Yeah, and that's fine.
Yes.
It's not like you know, we can
Jedi,
disagree on
appreciate it. We
certain
got
things.
10 in the kick pool. Got 10 in the kick pool from Jedi. Can we get some dubs from Jedi? Sorry, go ahead.
Nice Jedi.
Why are you guys so
The dude
against
flip
Donald
flops
Trump?
on everything because he doesn't. Because he's an awful person. He's an awful person without any policies. He has no coherent thoughts. He doesn't understand how anything works to any degree. He is literally a fucking moron that we handed a working car to in 2016, and he didn't wreck it until the last year. Someone came in, fixed that car up, and now we're handing it back to him again. That's the whole thing. You guys don't get that. You're like, oh well, I had more money under the Trump administration. Yeah, because of the fucking Obama economy. I don't know if you remember the last time a Republican had it. Let's say 2008, Republican destroyed the economy. 2020, Republicans destroyed the economy. And you could say, well, it wasn't his fault. He didn't take measures. He undermined it to every level. We're handing an idiot a car that's like barely working and expecting him not to crash it. He is advocating for policies that are going to cause mass inflation. He is advocating for policies that are going to cause home prices to go up. They're going to cause car prices to go up. They're going to set up China to become the world dominant superpower where we can't even catch up to them. There's a whole host of reasons I don't like the guy. And that's just on the policy side. On the personal side, he's an adjudicated rapist. I would say that that's a reason not to like someone. That's a reason not to vote him. He's also a felon. I don't know how you claim to be the party of law and order. Claim you want to get rid of migrants. And he wants to do denaturalization, which, by the way, depending on how he writes the policy, he may be denaturalized as a citizen of the United States.
I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen. But we can
Why is
unwrap
he
some of
talking
that.
about it?
Dude, how
The
do you trust a guy that ran his entire campaign, just from this perspective, a guy that ran his entire campaign against migrants, against immigration, that has two wives that are immigrants, all of his kids but Tiffany are anchor babies. He brought in a migrant to run and operate his campaign, and now that migrant is directing migrant policy. How can you trust someone to that degree?
he's saying like he wants to deport illegal immigrants. That was the stance.
He wants to get rid of birthright citizenship.
He's also wants to
And
denaturalize too. He wants to get rid of the clause in the 14th Amendment. He wants to denaturalize citizens and send people out. He
so the
stated
the
that.
argument is that like the somebody's pregnant and they have a baby like coming off the shore of Florida, and then now that child is now a United States citizen, and that
That
doesn't
child
happen
is
in
legally, under the Constitution of the United States, a United States citizen.
and this is an issue that doesn't occur in any other any other
Why are
nation,
you
correct?
comparing us
So
to
like,
any other
if
nation?
I just want to
School?
make sure.
Why are you
I don't
comparing?
know. So if I,
That's not true. Number one, but why would you compare us to other nations? We're not. Do you support our Constitution, or do you want to kick the ball off to another country? You
no, I
support our
support our
Constitution,
Constitution,
right? The Republicans support, right? Then that's the end of the discussion.
but do
Why are
you
you
like
talking
universal
about
health
what other
care and
countries do?
other countries has
Why
universal
are you
health care? Are
talking
you
about
for
what
that?
other country? Hold on a second. Why are you talking about what other countries do when it's in our Constitution?
Why is it such a bad thing
Universal
to talk
health
about it?
care, because it's in our Constitution. It's a constitutional guaranteed right. And you're talking about whether or not you want to get rid of it because other countries may or may not do it.
But like
You're going to say, oh, other
like
countries do universal
99%,
health care. Other countries do universal health care. Right, because that's to the benefit of people. What are you guys using denaturalization for? To target brown people. That's it.
I'm not. Then why do they have to be brown? It could just be like anybody coming over and they just
Because
like
that's
have a
Canadians
basic
are
why would you be having
retarded.
because why
like
would you
what?
be wanting because well, hold
Why?
on a second. If it wasn't about race, why would your party ever be having the discussion to get rid of H-1B visas? They're here legally. Why would it ever be having the discussion of targeting people in Springfield, Illinois that are here legally? Because it has nothing to do with someone's legal status. It has nothing to do with whether or not they're undocumented. Period. It has everything to do with
I could
race.
see some
Otherwise,
people
you wouldn't be
having
talking about H-1B visas.
I could see the argument for H-1B visas because there could be qualified Americans to fulfill those roles first.
Qualified Americans to fulfill those roles?
Yes,
There's not.
They're clearly not there, though.
they could
There's
be
not.
like
And if
what
they
do we
were,
what do
They're
we
they're
not.
not.
what's
They're not. They're
what
not. And hold on a second. Why would we want? Hold on a second. Number one, there's not. Okay. Anyone that works in tech or aerospace
so
or any
you're
other major
claiming
industry knows this. But hold on, there's not. Just a second. There's not. Okay. Even if there was, why the fuck would we want to minimalize the amount of advancement that we could make by bringing in someone from a different country that's not like they're really good. They're a fucking Einstein. Like you want to bring in someone that's just like, okay, they can do the job, or a fucking Einstein. You have
your
China
claims are
right
as
now.
if like
Hold on a
there's no
second. You have
Einsteins in America.
there are, and those people work for those
Yeah.
companies. But you're saying DEI for people that aren't smarter than people overseas that would actually do something and bring something to the country.
I'm not saying DEI at all. I'm just saying there could be a qualified person in America to fulfill that
Then
role.
they'll win.
And
Then they'll win in the application process.
yeah,
Yeah, let them compete then.
that's the argument. That's I feel like where it stems from. Like
It's a bad
I can see why
argument
some
because
people.
if it's
terrible
What do you
not,
mean
argument.
it's
it's a bad
argument?
argument because otherwise it's DEI for people in America that aren't as smart as people overseas or aren't as knowledgeable or talented or gifted. You're talking
I'm
about
not
a
saying about like
population in China. You're talking about a population in China of 1.8 billion people. They have an
okay.
enormous population. They have what, 1/8 of the world population or more? They have a huge population of talented people to pull from. We have 350 million. The only way that we're going to maintain a superior edge is if we bring people in. That's
America
it.
will always bring
Like,
people
could you
in.
imagine? I know,
Like
right? But could you imagine?
for
Could you imagine the Manhattan Project if we didn't have immigrants?
the what's the Manhattan Project? Spin me up for a second.
The building of the nuclear bomb. Could you imagine building the nuclear bomb if we didn't have immigrants?
I mean, it happened, right? This intelligent. Like I'm not against H-1B.
Because of who? Hold on, who? Because of
I'm not
whom?
against it. I'm saying we can.
Because of whom?
You want me to say immigrants?
Immigrants.
I'm not
Immigrants.
opposed to
Not just
immigrants.
Oppenheimer, not just Oppenheimer, immigrants across the globe came together to build the nuclear bomb, which may or may not be a good thing, but it's just symbolic of the evolution that we have as a country if we don't bring people in. Same thing with cutting off other countries that have equally amazing talent, like Nokia, which is in, the Scandinavian countries. Nokia, right, provides a significant amount of like cellular tech, right? We wouldn't like cut them off from America because it would be detrimental to us because there's nowhere else to go for it. Anyways, Nutcracker paid to finish the kick pool. Could we get some dubs and drumsticks in the chat for Jedi and Nutcracker? Give you your final says here. You want to finish up?
You want me to finish up?
Yeah.
If you want.
But like, you're not seeing the position of the H-1B versus American citizens. Like, you're claiming that there's
you want DEI. We get it.
It's not DEI though.
It is. You're saying get rid of H-1B visa. You're saying get rid of H-1. You're saying get rid of H-1B visas so Americans don't have to compete. You're saying get rid of H-1. This is what you're saying. Get rid of H-1B visas so Americans. Wait, no, I'm not. You're saying get rid of H-1B visas so Americans don't have to compete about better talent.
I did not.
Well, you're saying that's the argument. What's the categorical distinction? You're saying that's the argument.
The argument
that your party is advocating against H1. Your party is advocating against H-1B visas because it unfairly pits American talent versus foreign talent, which is what? DEI. Or at least
we're not advocating against H-1B visas. We're not against it.
Yeah, you are.
That's what you're missing.
Why touch it at all? Why touch it at all?
Maybe the claim came out as if like this was going to be first. H-1Bs were going to be first over American citizens.
So DEI. Awesome, cool. It's good to know that Republicans are finally supporting DEI, but only in the worst way possible.
Oh my God, dude, you're not getting it.
I am. Everybody in here is getting it. You're not.
You're not getting it. It's not catching.
All right, you got one more chance to impress.
Let me break it down. If I have a company, right? I run Texas Beer Club Technical Institution, correct? And I have 5 positions open, correct? And anyone can apply, right? And I'm an American-owned company. Do I? And I have 10 candidates. Do I interview the 5 H-1Bs first, and they get the first grabs at all of them, or should I interview the American citizens?
That's not how the hiring process works.
It's not how. It just allows them to come and apply and work in the United States. It doesn't say that they're given preferential treatment.
That they're interviewed first.
And then let's just say the H-1B individuals are a lower salary, so I can pay those guys much lower, and the American citizens are just left without.
I mean, I just want to point out how many there's like 60,000 H-1B visas in the United States.
85,000.
So you're talking about competing against 85,000?
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about competing against 85,000 people in the United States for ultra technical advanced degree jobs.
You don't think Americans to have ultra advanced technical degrees? That's what you're saying. You're saying as if like American people do not have these ultra technical skills.
It's not about technical degrees, man. That's not what I'm saying.
Whatever the skill is, you're assuming that
it's not about the skill. You seem to think. See, here's the problem with what you're thinking. You seem to think that we're comparing apples to apples. We're not. We're saying that if the people in the world that are the best and brightest, the people that are going to cure cancer, the people that are going to literally be able to create machines that full out stop enemy advances and invasions of countries, people that create some sort of treatment for something, whatever it is, right? That those people should be able to come here and work, that those people should be allowed in the United States, and that those people are inherently beneficial to our country. We're not talking about, letting in just everybody with an advanced degree. We're talking about letting in the best and brightest in the world, because that's how countries, and every other country is doing this. So you're going to tell me America is going to put itself at a disadvantage over every single country because you want DEI for Americans? You want someone that's less qualified, less gifted to be able to take that spot, and you're like,
I never said less qualified
confused.
Or less gifted.
All right. Well, I tried. You can rewatch this video over on YouTube, linktree in the bio, and then you can maybe watch it a few times if you get it, but I'm going to let you go.
I'm not going to.
All right. See ya.